White couples will be allowed to adopt black and ethnic minority children under new rules. The updated guidelines for social workers will state that race shouldn't prevent prospective parents from adopting. The plans, which won't involve a change in the law, will be unveiled by the Education Secretary, Michael Gove, this coming Tuesday.
Well, there are 3 times as many black and mixed-race children waiting for someone to adopt them as there are black and mixed-race homes wanting to adopt. So non-white children remain in care far longer than their white contemporaries. Well, the new guidelines issued this week are aimed at bridging that gap. Should adoption be colourblind? Precious, good morning.
Good morning, Nicky.
Your book's called Precious, I think.
It is, yeah.
And you were fostered into a white family, and it was really tough, wasn't it?
Yeah, I was fostered into a loving white family in an all-white rural town in Sussex. And their idea was to tell me, you're not really black, your colour doesn't matter to us, we don't see you as being any different to us. And I grew up, despite their love, I grew up with a really extreme case of self-hate and just sort of feeling completely lost, not knowing where I belonged. And also thinking that all black people were negative, to the point where I would say I was racist against other black people when I was a child.
In what sense?
I thought all black people were criminals or frightening. I was still in touch with my birth family. My mother would come and visit me, and when my mother and my black relatives arrived, I would run and hide. I would sometimes just literally run and hide under a table, scream. I wouldn't go near black people. So I grew up that way, and my foster family kind of had the idea that, not that that was good, but they didn't sort of think it was a problem. Their whole idea was, you know, you're the same as us, and the subtle message was, white culture is better, you're better off being with us and of us.
As well-intentioned as they were.
Yeah, and when I was about 8 or 9, the whole case ended up in court because my birth mother wanted me back, she came from an affluent family, but this was sort of spun around in the court records to, I needed to have the advantages of a white upbringing. I was actually on a council estate with my white family, rather than my upper middle class African family, because I'd get advantages from having a white upbringing, is what the judge said. So my mother lost custody of me. I remained in that all-white environment, and it was fun that my mother hadn't wanted me, rather than that she lost custody. So again, I thought, you know, black people can't even be decent parents. And when I switched on the TV, all I saw was...
That might not have been typical, though. It's not typical of your life, was it, Ben?
Absolutely not. I mean, you've had a very extreme and obviously a very negative situation. Mine was 1,000 times different.
Was love enough?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
What decade you were sort of born in? And
late 70s.
Okay, so I was early 70s, and my experience is quite typical of things that happen.
Well, for you, maybe, but obviously I know lots of people who've had a similar situation to me. The most important thing is a stable, loving environment. That's it. And you've obviously had all these issues, and obviously there are adoptions that don't work out very well.
What about your cultural...
This drives me absolutely bonkers, I have to say, because I'm originally from Barbados, and as it turns out, my mother put me up for adoption because she was diagnosed with cancer. It was benign. I got back in touch with her when I was 18, and my adoptive parents, who are my parents, paid for me to go back to Barbados when I was 18 for my 18th birthday and meet all my relatives over there.
Any affinity?
Now, in my opinion, I'm English, and I've been brought up in England, so while I love going to Barbados and eating the food and all the rest of it, my culture is English. This is the country that's given me all the opportunities, where I've had my success in business and life and all the rest of it, so this is my culture. And people who kind of deny interracial adoption on the basis of culture are making sure that ethnic children will be in residential care. And again, it comes back to common sense that the best place is a loving family home.
Is that common sense, Derek?
No, it's not. It's not common sense.
Is it not a danger if you say people should stay with their own race, their own cultures? That sounds like something
it's almost racist.
Out of BNP literature.
I think it's racist to peddle the notion that the monoculture of this country is the superior culture, and to deny other people access to their roots, to their heritage, to their art.
But can I just say, Catherine, this is really important. Really important. If I was to address, it really is.
I've heard that before.
Because if I let's say I was from Japan and I was to come in here wearing a sumo outfit, it would be ridiculous because I've been brought up here. So when you're saying about other cultures, it's what you have lived and experienced. So that's nonsense.
Derek.
The argument is very clear. I think what Mr. Gove said this week was A, dangerous, And secondly, he introduced something that is a paradigm shift from where we should be looking at when it comes to adoption. I am not against transracial adoption. As long as the parents of that child from a different ethnic background is able to cater for the holistic needs of that child.
So what are the problems if they aren't?
Not just a loving environment, because that's absolutely important.
It's the most important thing.
It's not the most important.
It is.
It is not the most important.
Of course it is.
It may be to yourself, but clearly to Precious it wasn't.
But Precious had an adoption that didn't work in the house, didn't she?
So it's very important that we understand when you say that it doesn't matter about a person's racial background or their heritage, you are also saying implicitly in that statement that the person or the group of people who will take that child on, that what they will impress on that child is then the most important. The second thing I think it was very dangerous for him to have done.
Well, nurture, that's...
Well, is you're nurturing something out of a person and you're disconnecting them. That person, in a lot of cases, that child doesn't grow up as a fully rounded individual. We've got a living example sitting just a few feet away from
And you have a living example of a rounded individual.
Well, I don't think you're rounded, because some of the things that
in your opinion. Sorry.
You're calling yourself English.
From what you have said,
but I am English.
From what you have said,
I'm not English. Are you saying I'm sorry? Are you saying I'm not English?
You're a black
The second
man.
thing that was said,
I'm a black man who lives in England.
You're a black man
on my
who has no
passport,
idea about your roots.
Okay, wait. This is strong stuff. Wait, this is strong stuff, right? Let's put it to him, Derek. Right, let's see what he says about it.
He can have his point when I've finished my point.
Well, you just said he's a black man who is not aware of his roots.
It clearly isn't, because if you can make a statement this week on Radio 4 that what he views as black culture is me running around in tribal dress,
I didn't say
cooking
that.
it's on the radio.
It is.
Cooking on an open.
Well, let's hear
cooking
his...
on an open pot.
Let's hear his response.
That to me, well, you can. That to me is wrong. Simply because that is not what we understand as black culture.
But
black culture
there are
talks
many
about
black
our
cultures,
history,
though.
our arts, our language. All those things are what we should be talking about when we have this debate about
that in
culture.
itself is a problem. What black culture?
Let's get Ben's response, and let's all listen
Thank you
to
very
what
much.
he's going to say.
Number one, and this is really important, you yourself don't have any direct experience of adoption. I am adopted, so you can't really tell me and put your opinions onto my thought process, because
But I can judge your actions and behaviour.
Number two, I have been born and brought up in this country. Therefore, I am English. I am a black man, that's quite obvious, and I embrace that, but I am also English. So I don't understand what...
people who even call themselves English, so
Absolutely.
why do you?
I'm
just curious.
Because I am English.
I'm not saying you can't, but I'm just
You
curious.
know very few black people call themselves English.
Very few.
Let's see, why is this precious?
Nearly every black person I know will call themselves black or black British, or just British, or they might refer to themselves as African, even though...
Wait, why not English then?
We're just not considered English, I don't think. Yes, but when I say we, I mean black people.
I have to say,
Is this, wait a minute, is this not conscious, self-selected kind of separatism?
Yes.
No, there was a time in the 70s.
Yes.
There was a time in the 70s, like they kept people kept changing what we were coloured, and then suddenly it was black and black British, but it was never English. The only time I've been called English is when I've been abroad, when I open my mouth in America, for example, and they'll say, "Oh, you're English," and I'll sort of think, well, "This is a novelty," but I would never even be called English.
This sort of attitude is so dangerous, because this is what causes all the conflict and issues and all of this stuff. It's so dangerous.
Wait. He's dangerous. Why?
I think it's very dangerous because he is an example of what the concerns are. Michael Gove.
I'm very successful and very happy. Thank you very much. So
that may be absolutely fine, but there's a whole lot of people who have gone into adoptive families who have completely alienated those children from their roots. Those children grow up to have an identity crisis. They suffer psychological problems. You keep saying nonsense because just let the man finish what I'm saying. This is what we deal with on a regular basis. I had a conversation this week with a white lady who said, "I am scared to say that I would like to have white grandchildren." She felt that if she says, "I want white grandchildren," that she's going to be perceived as a racist. This debate that we're having isn't about a loving, caring family. I think that's a very dangerous thing that Michael Gove has done.
But that's all that...
I think... Hang on. I think it's far more than that. It's more about... It's more about, A, the holistic provision for a child, not just
It's about a loving family.
not just about the physical needs,
but it's
the
also
spiritual,
about kids
psychological,
being in care
and ensuring
for far too long.
Yes.
Well,
That's
what we
it's
should be
also
doing
about.
then, Nikki, we should be ensuring that we don't pick children for parents, but we pick parents for children. If we're saying there's a shortage of parents,
I'm going to go out here
we
and see
should
what
make
Douglas
efforts.
Murray, Sami Yaqub, Alison Ruff. Alison, let's turn it round. How would you feel about a white child being adopted by a black family? How would you feel about that?
Not a problem.
No. Right.
I really feel that. But what I would like to ask you, if I may, there are more and more marriages taking place between black people and white people. So what do you feel about the children? I mean, it seems to me, frankly, that they've got the same problems as what you're hinting at, or more than hinting at.
When I made my opening statement, I made it very clear, and I'll repeat it again so there's no ambiguity. There is no problem with transracial adoption at all.
Right.
As long as the parents that are going to take on that child are able to provide for the holistic need of that child. That is not just...
That's what they're doing.
That is not...
But who are you to
But you can apply that to any family, and with...
Of course you can. And I'm not denying that.
A holistic needs.
And that's why I'm so appalled at this debate.
Liv adopted two little boys, 20 years ago plus,
20 years
minus, from Central America.
Indeed.
Do you see to their holistic needs as ethnic Central Americans?
We should be asking them, surely.
Shouldn't be asking the...
Well, actually...
Well, they're not
You're saying
here,
those-
so she's the only option for the question.
I have a message from both of them. One said to me, my 16-year-old said to me, well, what's so different about our family? Why, you know, we're just like any other family. My other son said, well, we don't segregate people in society. Why should we segregate people when it comes to families? Now...
Derek, let Liv say a little bit more. Let Liv say a little bit more. Liv.
Forgive me. My children come from Central America. We have taken them to Central America a couple of times.
Well, that's good.
Oh, thank you.
No, I'm not no, I mean, it really is generally good. It's not necessarily typical.
Thank you. Well, I think it is very typical, actually. I've been working in this area for a long, long time, for something around 23 years in the adoption, speaking about adoption, looking at adoption, and I have to say that most adoptive parents are absolutely, I can't think of any of them who have said that they haven't adopted the country from which those children have come and have learnt from it and have expanded themselves from it.
It was a rigorous process.
And it is a rigorous process, and it's a rigorous process whether you're adopting here. Believe you me, sir. Believe you me, it's a fantastically rigorous process.
You know what?
Derek, let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question.
Have you done it? Have you been?
I'm dealing with the fallout.
Well, hang on.
I'm dealing with
Derek,
the fallout.
would you have left those kids in Central America?
Now, what I would have done, I would have made more efforts to find the appropriate parents.
But they're not coming forward. Black and ethnic families are not coming forward.
Wait.
That's something we need to look at.
Allow me to explore this. More efforts to find a...
looking at that.
Isn't Liv not an appropriate parent?
When have your children...
just look at
well,
her
hang
and
on a
say
minute.
it's
I can't say that because I don't know Liv and I don't know her experience. But what I will tell you is that we're dealing with people who are suffering as a result of being wrongly placed.
But children...
Thank you. Who have been wrongly placed, and as a result, the parents who've taken those children on, whatever their colour and nationality, have not been able to appropriately support the needs of that child. And that, to me, is what this debate is about. It's wrong to say it's about a loving environment versus a care home existence. It's more than
And then I'll be up front with you, don't worry.
Are you telling me, really, that it's better for a child to be in the care system at the bottom of a complete... No, hang on, because that's... Can I say something?
Well, you've put words that I didn't say. I said that...
I'm asking a question, and it's a very serious question. It's not necessarily addressed to you.
I want to get a holistic answer from
But the point is this, that the option for children, the 67,000 children who are in the care system, it's a pretty ragged old care system. Yeah. These children get nothing. They get nothing, and if they're not adopted, who gives a damn about them, frankly? Yeah. They don't get any culture, they don't get any education, they don't get any love. They're not even asked, they're not even made to go to school because under the
That is not the debate.
And the child is this is the whole point.
All right, listen, I'm going to walk over here now in a very purposeful way. Douglas Murray, what do you make of this fascinating conversation between Ben and Derek and Precious?
I find it very worrying. I mean, I hear dogma going on of a new kind, a dogma of race. And it's effectively the flip side of racism. Exactly. To say, I mean, first of all, the idea that the child is brought up in whatever DNA they've inherited, whatever skin pigmentation they're brought up in that culture per se. I don't see that at all. I mean, somebody mentioned earlier, bringing up children in black culture. What on earth? I mean, it's like saying white culture. I'll bring up a child in white culture. It's a horrible thing just to hear. But what does it mean? But look, the crucial thing here, the reason why Michael Gove has introduced this, as I understand it, is the following: there are a lot of children who are not being adopted and who need families. Those are the people, before any dogma of the race relations industry or all sorts of other things comes in, it should be those children that we focus on. And if those children are not getting a loving home and they could get one, with the parents that wanted to take them in, I think we should celebrate that.
Here.
Secondly,
there is another thing, though. If you are adopted, some people who are adopted feel kind of different and they feel alienated and they can at times feel very alone. And if you are of a different colour to your parents, that can be even more acute.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, children who are adopted can feel that anyway.
So you're perhaps making it even worse.
But look, if the point is here, should the state decide this child is of this background and therefore we'll put him this, or would you just stand back and say, if you are a set of parents who want to adopt this child, whatever colour, whatever background a child is, then we will allow you to do that? Surely that's the most basic, sensible thing to deal with this problem.
I think it's important to say there's been no change in the law. Michael Gove has not introduced something new. The law has been the same for many years, and that is children should be placed in loving families.
Different guidelines, different emphasis.
And where possible, from the same background. But if that cannot happen, then any loving family. So it's this almost false premise that somehow people are being denied being able to adopt children simply because of a different cultural background.
Disproportionately, there are fewer black adoptors, though, that's a fact, and there are more disproportionately black children in the care system.
Studies have shown, though, that 3/4 of children who are of a different ethnic background later on in adulthood said that they had experienced identity issues, compared to 42% of people who had the same kind of
identity issues are very common for all adopted children.
But that's what I'm comparing. 42% as a standard, because obviously anybody who's been adopted has already lost some aspect of their identity when they lose that connection with the birth family. Then to lose another connection, which is why my question to you is, you said you took your children to Central America. Why? Why did you feel the need to do that?
Because I think you're misunderstanding me here. I do think roots are important. I do think it's
because I feel that you amplified that point. That's why I wanted to.
I do think it's extremely important to know where you come from, who you are, and all the rest of it. I wouldn't deny my children any knowledge that I had or could get for them about their history and about their culture, and I consider myself an honorary member of their birth culture, if you like. And I think that's very exciting for me and for my husband.
Alison, you want to come in? Forgive me, Salma.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. Alison.
I have actually worked. I was a magistrate for many years, and I did 18 years on the family courts. And I've done many adoptions. And it is one of the happiest occasions when you can actually...
Rubber stamp.
Rubber stamp. And with the little children, I've sort of had them on my knee as they're looking at their papers, and the delight through the courtroom is just wonderful.
Joyful.
It is. It's huge.
Yeah.
Having said that, I think it's right that the children of a mixed-race situation whereby we've talked about the different families and different children of different nations, I think it's right for the parents, where they possibly can, to take them back to their roots so they learn about their own culture and actually become this, as what you said, holistic person. Having said that...
And I totally agree with the point. You've just backed up what the point I've been making, that it's not just, and we keep peddling this notion that the choice is a loving environment versus a care home. What we have said
Yes.
is this. There is more to just a loving relationship that humans need. They need a holistic package, and if the parents...
Are we born with cultures?
No, a baby isn't.
Look, the bottom line is, this young... Is it Viv? Leave. I like the point she's made, that she felt it necessary to not disconnect. There is a disconnect, and we've seen with Ben's example.
Can I come back on this? This is very important.
Of the point I'm making.
All right, Ben, you're making the last word here.
Yes, I went back to Barbados when I was 18, where I'm originally from, had a lovely time, loved it, but England is where I was brought up. And so I felt a connection to Barbados, but this is my home country.
No one's denying that.
End of story. And also, a baby and a child doesn't see colour. End of story.
Thank you all very much indeed. Thank you. We're going to leave it there because we have to move on. But it's very much appreciated.